All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. This is a Kiss-related podcast by the board, for the board. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 267 of the KissFAQ Podcast. Where's my fucking microphone? I'm Julian Gill, admin on the KissFAQ. Yep, it's going to be one of those shows. Thank you for joining us. Let's see, I have with me today Marcus Almighty Mark.
Greetings.
St. Louis Kiss, Lonnie.
Hello.
And 69th Blizzard, Ken.
Hey there.
And after our little hiatus, I still remember all your names, so that's a very good sign. What news do we have to get through? I don't think there's a whole lot. Well, unless you're in Cincinnati with two T's tonight.
I saw that.
As someone who is a purveyor of typos, I find hilarious. Get one of those shirts. They're sure to be collectibles. Not.
Did they really screw that up?
They did. There's two T's in Cincinnati on the shirt.
Yep. I wonder which city they're going to thank after the show. Let's see. Purchases. Anyone had any recent purchases of note that you'd like to share with everyone, even though you may not have the actual item in front of you? Mark, you've been busy. You're actually doing real music stuff, so.
I was gonna say I haven't bought anything like for a while. I'm sorely in need of going out to buy something.
Lonnie.
I have not, but the reason being is that Kiss is playing here on Sunday, so I will blow my load on Sunday on Kiss merchandise.
Smart thinking.
Yeah. So, actually, since you said that, I will add this in. I have bought some new merchandise.
Nice.
That's a button which will be available to you at the Staples Center in Los Angeles. I've actually decided to go to that show after humming and hawing about it. I was sitting there about to buy the tickets one night, and I was going to buy the tickets. I couldn't bring myself to buy the tickets. And then the following day, I looked at the tickets, and I'm like, I got to do it. So I'm going to go to the Staples Center, which means I've made some more of these fucking buttons, which says I was there at the Staples Center. I'm only doing 50 of these because they've been such a pain in the ass to hand out 100 of them at the other shows that I just can't be bothered anymore. So I'll hopefully find a few people to help chuck them into the audience.
I'm sorry, what about the Oakland show? Did you make some for that?
I have 100 for that, so I'm certainly going to need some fucking help.
You're going to need my help.
I'm going to need yours and other people's help, because we can make sure that everyone who attends the meet and greet will get one. And then, hopefully some for everyone else. I'll go down the line in the meet and greet and say, have a button, have a button, have a button. At least you'll get something free at a Kiss show.
I'll get one then. Yay.
Yeah. So that's all I've bought. Ken, have you added anything into your collection recently since our last visit?
No, I don't think so.
No? Well, you're all not.
That was exciting. That was an exciting segment.
You're all obviously not real Kiss fans. None of us have anything to show off or to brag about except a beer and a button. All right, well, let's get into today's topic. And today is, it's topical. Gene's birthday was on Sunday. He spent the day, I guess, in New York City hanging out on street corners with Paul Stanley. Just like
fanny pack.
Paul Stanley wasn't dressed like that in 1970. He's come a long way from there, but Gene still looked badass and had his family. I think they went bowling for a birthday party and whatnot. And did their usual kind of stuff. So it was this episode's all about Gene, which I think he probably says, well, every episode should be all about me. Well,
correct.
Today it really is. So we're just going to run through a gamut of questions related to Gene Simmons that are all kind of erring on the side of the positive. So if you're looking for a critical dissection of Gene's songwriting or his recycling or backbone slipping, you're on the wrong episode today. We'll have to visit all of that later. So let's jump straight in for each one of us. And Lonnie, let's start with you. Your earliest memory of Gene Simmons.
This was tough. I was thinking about this, and I was like, trying to recall back. When's the first time I really saw Gene on, outside of the album covers? You know what I mean? And it was when I was a kid. Channel 11 here in St. Louis had Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park on one Saturday afternoon. It was back in the day when, like, you know, your local TV station, they showed like 3 movies in a row just to kill some airtime on a Saturday afternoon. And they had Kiss Meets the Phantom on. And as a kid, I thought it was the most badass movie I'd ever seen, you know, until I saw it again when I was a teenager. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's terrible. But seeing Gene, it was like actually the first time I ever really saw the band live. But my biggest takeaway from that as a kid, though, was the way Gene speaks in that movie with like the lion roar type vocals. And I was like, is that what Gene really sounds like? Is like my earliest memory of Gene as a, you know, like an 8 or 9-year-old watching this movie. I'm like, oh my gosh, he's so demonic. That's what he even sounds like. So that's my first memory of Gene, is watching Kiss Meets the Phantom in the mid late 80s and seeing that and thinking that's what Gene actually sounded like, as stupid as that sounds.
Awesome. Mark, what about you?
Well, I for most of these questions I have to really sit down and think about it, so I've made my notes for everything.
Mm-hmm.
But actually my earliest memory of Gene, again, goes back to my eldest sister. And it goes back to the story that I think I told you guys a couple of times, but my earliest memory of Gene is going into one of her friends' apartments when we used to live in this apartment building. And they used to thumbtack their albums on the walls. You know, they take the vinyls out and leave the thumbtack, like the covers on there, because they thought it was awesome, you know, like the artwork and all that. They did all the solo album covers. I remember it vividly, right? And the one thing I vividly remember was seeing Gene in that bloodied look on Alive 2. And the very first time I saw that, I asked myself, who's that? You know, because, you know, a young kid, you see this guy all drenched in blood. And it had a definite impact right away. And she told me, oh, it's this. And then the guy who was there in the apartment building was like, hey, you want to hear some of it? So he put on Alive 2. And that was one of those moments where it's like, wow, what is this? You know, the loud audience and, you know, the explosive music. So, but that was my earliest memory of Gene, was that Alive 2 photograph.
Can't really go wrong with that. Ken, how about you?
Yeah, I mean, my first memory was probably forgettable because I didn't pay attention to the friend across the street, and I didn't really. I thought, what the hell is this album cover of the first album cover? So I just blew that off. But then 2 years later, my friend showed me the Rock and Roll Over album cover. I thought that was cool, and then he played a little bit for me, and I was like, oh, you know, I'm hooked now. So then a little bit later after that, it was 77 when I bought the Alive 2 cover, that image of Gene on the cover, plus the booklet, I mean, inside, and the other pictures of Gene. I thought, oh wow, this is really, you know, cool stuff. The costumes are all, you know, awesome and stuff like that. So that was the real first, at least, image. Otherwise, I think right after that, I started buying magazines like 16 and all those other magazines, rock and roll magazines, that had things that I could paste up on the wall and stuff, until I got to finally see, well, live action Kiss and Meets the Phantom, you know, the Phantom of the Park, which I saw when it debuted on TV. So that was the first time I really saw them there, and then actually seeing some concert footage on that, until then later on in 79 finally seeing them. So, but really the Alive 2 was the big, like Mark, that image is just iconic for me. I thought, man, what the heck's going on with this, the blood and everything. So it was cool.
Yeah, you're all very lucky, because obviously becoming a fan in 1985, my memory of Gene is the B. Arthur Experience. Actually, if you think of the Tears Are Falling video, you're like, Gene looks a bit like Kevin DeBro. And then you're like, oh, that's Gene Simmons? Well, I didn't know who he was. And I'm like, oh, look at Paul Stanley's fucking cool. Look at him swinging like Tarzan, and Bruce playing guitar, and Eric behind the drums. Well, you know, 3 of them are cool. But none of it really registered. And, you know, as I started buying rock magazines and looking back, yeah, you automatically discover that when Gene was in makeup, he was kind of the face of the band and very photogenic with his expressions and sticking out his tongue. And, even going back to 79, where I'd seen the kids in makeup at the talent show when I first moved to America, none of them registered. My memories of that are all black leotards and tinfoil, not facial makeup designs or some kid with a short tongue trying to be all, Gene, which no doubt they would have done, just because it was part of the shtick. So Gene, for me, is the B. Arthur experience, and that simply is what he was in 1985. And you know what? Damn it, I'm proud of that album, of that era, of Gene having the balls to get up on stage and put himself out there in photo shoots, actually dressed and looking like a overweight Kevin DeBro. So there we go. Sorry, Gene, I love you. Most importantly, I guess, moving on from that, is what does Gene mean to you? And that's where you kind of place him in the band, or his importance in that kind of role of Gene Simmons, bassist in Kiss. And Mark, go.
Well, I was going to say I kind of took that question a little bit differently. Like I took it what does he literally mean to me? So I kind of put it that, actually, believe it or not, Gene Simmons is sort of an inspiration in one sense, that from a business standpoint, like as a musician and a business person, I kind of find him inspirational, because he's a guy who doesn't have any fear of trying new things. Like as far as like products and stuff like that, like he's put Kiss name on pretty much everything, and many bands and even like people like myself would probably think more than twice about putting our names on some of the stuff that he's put his name on. But I find that sort of an inspiration in a way, because he kind of makes you realize that, what's the worst thing that can happen? If it doesn't succeed, you fail, you just pick yourself up, dust yourself off, and move forward and just do something else again and try again and keep trying and something will catch eventually. It has for him. I mean, for every toilet paper roll that wasn't a success, they had, the pinball machines, and the coffin was a success in his eye and stuff like that. So for all those things that didn't work out so great, he kind of makes me realize that I shouldn't be afraid to try stuff that I might think twice about doing, even with my own stuff, So I really find him very inspirational that way. So Gene has been kind of important for me in that aspect.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm going to follow on from the way that you took it, because my story with Gene is very similar. We're both immigrants. One of us didn't come to this country legally. But now that I am legal, you know what? He represents the American dream. And for someone who has come to this country from elsewhere, America is a country that it really can be said that it's true that you are only limited by your own dreams and a bit of luck. Without a doubt. But in other countries, there are class systems, there are social systems, there are other roadblocks that people encounter, which is why so many people leave those other countries and want to come to America. Gene embodies the greatest part of success when it comes to coming to America, that they basically arrive penniless. His mom worked very hard in a low-paying job to give him as much as she could, and he made the very most of it. Where he went with it, sure, it involves some luck along the way, meeting someone like Paul Stanley, meeting someone like Bill Aucoin, a Sean Delaney, a Neil Bogart, other people who would share the risk. But that's something that he's represented all throughout his career, that he's found other people with whom to share the risks and reap the benefits. And he's actually the smartest one, because he's actually not reaped the failures in many cases, because in many of these projects that Mark mentioned that weren't successful, he didn't have a direct risk in, and that's the smartest business possible. If you're going to gamble with other people's money. So that's what Gene represents to me. He represents a dream, an ideal of anything being possible as long as you're willing to put in the hard work and take some risks along the way. Lonnie, how about you?
Yeah, I think it's very true. It's kind of along the line where I was going, that Gene represents the American dream. He's the epitome of the American dream, that if you work hard and you're diligent, and you're right, Julian, you got to have a little luck along the way, but you can achieve what you set your mind to and what you can achieve your dreams. He is the epitome of the American dream, coming here penniless with his mom. And, he is, to me, especially as a kid and as a teenager, he was Kiss to me, was Gene Simmons. And as I've gotten a little older, I've become more of a Paul guy, even though more than anything else, I can see that Paul really steers the ship, especially since, the farewell tour moving on. You can argue that it's, before that, Paul was really steering the ship for a long time before that. But for me, as a kid and as a teenager, Gene was always the face of Kiss, the blood-drooling, fire-breathing, tongue-waving demon, and when people think of Kiss, he's the face of Kiss. He's the first thing most people think of when they think of Kiss. As much as we all on the show love Paul Stanley, not the common fan or just a common person, the first thing they think of is Gene Simmons. Like a friend of mine, he goes, well, Gene Simmons, he's the lead singer at Kiss, right? I'm like, well, not really. And he's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, because he doesn't know, he might know 2 Kiss songs, yeah. and that might be pushing it, that he knows 2 Kiss songs. But I mean, just the common person, Gene Simmons is the face of Kiss. He is Kiss. So that's what Gene means to me more than anything else. He's the American dream. He is, not Dusty Rhodes, but he's the epitome of he is the epitome of the American dream. And he is the face of Kiss. And I think 50 years from now, 100 years from now, he will still be, in most people's eyes, the face of the band.
Holy shit, a wrestling reference that I actually got. That's awesome.
Lonnie's stupid 80s wrestling references come out every now and then.
Ken, to you, what does Gene mean to you?
Well, I agree. I mean, he does represent the American dream, like all you said. And what strikes me is his ability, like Mark was saying, it's the way he just throws out all ideas there and just to see if they stick. And if it fails, it fails, big deal. He'll go on. He just push that aside and go to the next idea. The other thing is his work ethic. I mean, the guy does not stop working. I mean, I think he must work every day. I don't think if he takes a vacation, it's not a very long vacation. And I think he's taken maybe 1 or 2, as far as I know, ever. But he's usually always has something going on every day. And he's probably doing on the phone, doing all kinds of business things every day. Other ideas outside of Kiss. I just find it tires me out just thinking about him doing that kind of stuff. It's just how does he find the energy for that? And then Kiss itself. So, I mean, he meant a lot to me. I mean, he is the face of Kiss, like you guys said. It's what I gravitated to first, the bats, the horror, Dracula, Bat, and a comic book. I was into Batman. I mean, I thought I had an infatuation with bats kind of thing because I like Batman. I like the bat makeup kind of thing and the wings. It's just his whole, I don't know what it is, his work ethic, like I said, and then his education. I mean, it's just surprising that he was a teacher at one time. I mean, obviously he was very educated. It's not like he just didn't work for it. He did work for it and did what he needed to do to get where he is. I think he was going to get there one way or another, whether it was with Paul or some other, rock and roller or whatever. But I find him inspirational as far as what he does and what he tries to do. So I don't know what to say, but he's always been my favorite band member, and it's always been a cool thing to see what he's going to do next.
Yeah, I think everyone touched on a common theme when talking about what Gene means, and that inspiration, that he's an inspiration. And I think when we distill it down, reduce it to the barest kind of descriptor, that an inspiration is a very appropriate one to use for Gene Simmons. Here he is turning 70 years old. I mean, for a guy who's still getting up there every night, donning the armor, painting his face, and putting on a show, what would the younger version of yourself, when you became a fan, think of Gene Simmons at 70? Slathering on that makeup and hitting the stage and continuing to do. I mean, for some of us, what he had done years before we became fans. So, Ken, I'll go back as someone who was a fan in the originals era. I'll start with you.
Yeah, I would not, at that age, I would have not thought that it would be possible for him to be still, performing on stage with Kiss. I think I probably didn't think they were going to get past maybe 40 and still be doing it. If that, you just don't think, at least back when you're younger like that, you think these bands and most bands don't last very long. So who knew that they were going to go as long as they could? But to think that, they're still doing that 70, there's not a whole lot of bands like that out there that can still do that like they do. And to wear all that, I mean, to put the makeup on before every show and the costume, it's got to be tedious. I mean, you got to get sick of it at some point, I have to put the makeup on the gun and stuff, but it's just amazing. That's part of the work ethic, I guess.
Unless you have Eric Singer in the same room with you while doing it.
Right.
Yes,
cracking jokes the whole time and giving you a rash of shit.
Right, yeah. I guess you get some, something entertainment while you do it,
Yeah.
So, yeah, I just can't. It's just, doesn't make sense that they're still be able to do that. But I wouldn't have imagined it. No, not at all.
Mark.
Well, I'm very sure that the younger me would not have foreseen this happening. I mean, back when I was in some of my earlier bands, there was that whole kind of running motto I found amongst musicians that, if you didn't make it by the time you were 30, then you had to just pack it in, like as an independent musician, like you had to just give up on it if you didn't do it by 30. And then, in our eyes back then, any musician who was 50 plus was considered like a complete dinosaur. Like I remember when Rolling Stones went out and did the Steel Wheels tour, there used to be that gag we used to always talk about, saying the Stones were on the Steel Wheelchair tour at that time, right? And
30 years ago as well.
Yeah, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, and that was the mentality even back then. But I was thinking, and I kind of find this interesting now, is I'm in my 40s now, and I have lots of energy and lots of willingness to continue doing music. So that kind of opinion is obviously showing my age back then, how naive I was to how much or how far you can continue to do this stuff. I mean, if I'm 70 years old, I don't know if I'll be doing it still, right? But I mean, I'm amazed that they're able to do it for this long. And I mean, you made a good point, Julian, on the board where you said that the sacrifices some of these people have done to do this. I mean, how many body parts has Paul sacrificed to do this? And look at Gene as far as his family. His family situation. Touring and doing stuff. He's constantly surrounded by women, and the way he was. He almost lost Shannon at one point. There's lots of things that rock and roll does that take away from your as far as I'm concerned, I just I'm just surprised this long, so good for them.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. I'll echo everything that you said. Younger me never thought about them rocking and rolling into their dotage, as they so clearly have. I just never thought that way. It was always about the now. What will they be doing, a little bit down the road or not? I never kind of projected way forward. But, Keith Richards, redefined that 70 is the new 50, or in his case, 700. So, and anything is possible, and long may he do what he feels healthy enough and happy enough to do. That's all that kind of matters to me. I'm not going to, think about 5 years, 6 years, whatever. None of it's important. All I know is that I've had more Kiss than I ever would have imagined. I never thought I'd be a fan of something to this level. 30-something years on after I became a fan, and for many Kiss fans, that's approaching 50 years, 45. That's a hell of a longevity to be around. Lonnie, your thoughts on this before I move on?
It's interesting because in 1996, when I was a senior in high school, I remember guys in school telling me that, Kiss, they're old, man. Listen to Metallica or listen to Bush or whatever the hell they were listening to at the time. And Kiss is old. And that was a long time ago. and back, somebody tells you something enough, you start believing that maybe it's true. I mean, no matter what it is, somebody tells you something enough, you start thinking, well, maybe they have a point. But in 2000, when they did they did farewell tour in 2000, and then they came back in 2003. I just felt so lucky. In 2003, even though Ace wasn't there and it was Tommy, when people were trying to wrap their heads around that, I just felt so lucky at the time that I was getting one more tour out of them. And then in 2004, when they came back in Rock Nation, I just felt, Peter was gone, but with Eric, and I was like, it's okay, because I feel so lucky that I'm getting another tour out of them. Because I really bought into the whole farewell tour thing in 2000, like a lot of us did. And I thought, it's okay, because, I'll take it, because this Kiss is better than no Kiss. And I took every time that I saw, like in 2003, I saw him once, 2004, I saw him twice. And, I just took it as like, this is just bonus. This is just icing on top, because who knows, how many more times I'm going to get to see him, because, 2, 3, 5 years from now, there might not be anything going on. It might be over. Then 2009 came around. I saw him 5 times in 2009. 2, 3 years from now, 5 years from now, there might not be anything going on. And here we are 10 years from 2009, 10 years from Sonic Boom, and we're on the end of the road tour. And you know what, guys? We might not get another farewell tour. So we have to take advantage of this kind of shit.
You got to grab the opportunities when they arise, right? All right, so that's kind of some of the deeper thoughts of these questions. Let's go a little bit rapid fire into some of these other ones. Lonnie, straight back to you. What's your favorite Gene song? Should not require a lot of thinking. It should be straight off the cuff.
It depends on the day of the week. That's a very difficult question.
No doubt we'll do another episode about it. So right now,
you have to give me a choice right this second. I'm going to say War Machine. I don't care if you guys think it's worn out in the set list. I love War Machine.
Nice. Ken.
And I'm probably going to punch my brother in the shoulder when they go on the War Machine on Sunday night. Freaking love it.
I'm going to say, just for the purpose of it was kind of my first song I liked by Kiss, is Calling Dr. Love.
I knew you were going to say that.
You knew that.
Nice riff. Mark.
I have to say the same thing, Calling Dr. Love.
Yeah.
Yep, I'm going with the same one it always is. You can all guess.
I know what it is.
Yeah. Deuce. It's my Gene song. It's my Kiss song, for that matter. It is the song. Will always be. All right. Straight back, Lonnie. The album where you think Gene is the MVP.
It's very predictable. Where Gene is, it's tough because there's a couple different answers to this. But for me, if I had the answer again right away, it's Revenge.
It always is.
His songs on Revenge are awesome. There's no question about it. You guys will sit here. We talk about Revenge and be like, the Paul songs are kind of clunky though. But the Gene songs are excellent. There's no denying that. So it's Revenge for me all the way.
I'm shocked. I'm amazed. Mark.
I know. It's unbelievable.
I went with the 78 solo album. I think that is where he is the MVP. Oh. It was his idea.
Well, certainly not Paul on that album.
Well, no, but in the sense that he's the mastermind of it. It very much seems like a record that he had absolute total control over, and if he was in total control.
We got there. Your line, of course. It went scratchy there. All right, Ken.
Robot Mark. Yeah. All right, for me, this might surprise you. I chose Love Gun because Gene had, to me, 4 great songs on there with Christine 16, Got Love for Sale, Almost Human, Plaster Caster. Those are Gene songs that epitomize his writing style and catchy hooks that he comes up with, and great riffs. I think Paul had 3 songs on the album, which may be a surprise. He only had 3 songs on Love Gun, even though he sang Then She Kissed Me or whatever, and that's not his song really, even though he sang it. But this may be the only album that Gene has more songs, written songs on it than Paul. So anyway, I think that's strong. I mean, I had a short list, maybe Elder, Revenge, Carnival Souls. Those are other kind of ones I feel, but I pick Love Gun.
Yeah, good picks. I could easily go with Revenge for the exact same reasons that Lonnie kind of described in his pick. But you know what? I think I've got to go with The Elder for Gene. When you take the songs that he contributed to that album, A World Without Heroes, which is, primarily him, built on the melody that Paul came up with, and Only You. I think Only You is what really nails it. And of course, you got Mr. Blackwell, which is straight in character, written for the kind of theme. So, in terms of being a player, what he brings to those above and beyond what Paul creates with his artistry, just right now, today, as Lonnie said, ask us again in 5 minutes, you might get a different answer. Gene Simmons, The Elder. I'll never pick him for Carnival Souls. That'll always be Bruce. All right, so going back to a little bit of a theme that I kind of described in my first kind of memory of Gene being his look. What do you think Gene's best look in makeup and out of it, and that is in a non-biblical asking of the question, is? So, what's your favorite Gene costume and his best look out of makeup? Lonnie.
His best look the best Gene ever looked in makeup was Destroyer. I love the Destroyer outfit with 76 Gene and the way he did the 76 makeup before it got really big, and now it's really kind of goofy looking almost. But the way he did the makeup in 76 and the way that armor fit him in 76 on a little bit of a slimmer Gene, I think is the best look he ever had in makeup. For that time period, the Destroyer, rock and roll over era Gene. It's my favorite look for Gene. Makeup wise, costume wise, non-makeup wise. It's obviously Revenge because it's finally where they figured out how Kiss was supposed to look without makeup.
Mark, how about you?
Well, I have to agree with Lonnie about the out of makeup. I think Revenge was, the Gene Simmons at his most coolest look. He had the scruff and the mustache beard thing going on. So I think he definitely looked like, the uber cool demon then, even though he wasn't in any kind of makeup then. So that was really cool. I think he captured his character without having to use makeup. So I think that's really cool. But my favorite makeup look for Gene is actually Creatures of the Night. I really love that outfit that he wore then. I think it looks really, really cool. A lot of pointy stuff, and it really, I really like that costume. It always seems to stick in my memory, that costume. And I think just overall, his look looked really strong in that. I mean, and I think especially coming off of the Elder, when he looked kind of different in retrospect to how he looked before, I think it was nice to see him back in something a little bit more heavy metal-ish.
Excellent. Ken.
Well, the Live 2, the makeup, the Live 2 makeup, that era when they were live, the way he was doing the makeup, extended down, longer makeup, it just looked, pretty darn evil, which was cool. But I do agree with Mark about the costume. Creatures of the Night, I think, is a fantastic costume. It was great. And what is this? It's a hybrid costume. I mean, it has the Elder elements to it, plus the armor from prior, even from similar armor in certain cases, bringing back that destroyer type armor in a way, and then the new boots with the boots that had those like spikes, spiky stuff on it and that sort of thing. So yeah, that was a great costume. Then out of makeup, I agree. Revenge is the one where he kind of found his look that he should have had, or something similar that he should have had throughout the 80s.
Yeah, for me, it's in makeup. It's the first pictures that I ever saw of Gene, in '85 when they put pictures of Gene in makeup in magazines. It was usually creatures. So that for me, again, because of my connection with it, is what looks best. But I do agree also with, I think it was Lonnie and 76, Gene being a total badass. Out of makeup, it's, it'd be too easy to say revenge. But when I think of Gene out of makeup, I always get an image of him wearing that fucking blue flannel type shirt with a pair of black leather pants. Go look at
Hot in the Shade.
Yeah, Hot in the Shade.
Yeah.
And when I was backstage in 2000, Gene was back there wearing black leather pants, that blue shirt, eating cake out of a freaking thing without a spoon. So that to me, I love it. I mean, that's kind of that era that I was really becoming kind of a bit more of a hardcore fan. So I'll go with that.
That was one of his best wigs too, Hot in the Shade. That's
an impressive wig if it's a wig. And
I think it's the wig. I think it is impressive.
Yeah. So
it's a good one.
Yeah. All right.
What's your favorite Gene wig?
We're rating wigs.
What's your favorite version of Cheverus? I think it was referred to at one point. Well, talking about things like that, acting roles. What do you think is Gene's best acting role that he's undertaken, or something that you're guilty of enjoying watching him do far more than you ought to admit to, Lonnie?
Dr. Charles Luther in Runaway is probably my favorite acting role for Gene. He's the villain. The role just kind of fit him better than anything else I think he's ever done in an acting role. So I enjoy that more than anything else that he's done. So, and maybe by default more than anything else, but I think the role for him in that movie just fit him, and he picked the right movie to debut on.
Mark.
Well, this is going to sound lame, but I have an explanation. My favorite thing that I've seen him in as far as acting is the Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park. Why? Because it's the only thing that I've seen him in. I've never seen any of the other movies he's been in. I've never seen Runaway. I've never seen
real Kiss fan.
Any of those other ones, because to be honest, after I saw the Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, I wasn't too overly impressed, when I was younger with it. So no, but then because of that, I had no interest in seeing any of these other ones, like that Terror one, or that one where he got dressed up as a woman, or any of these other ones. I had no desire to see any of these other movies. Like Runaway, I kind of thought about maybe sometime if it comes on TV, I'll see it, but I've never seen it on TV here in Canada ever. But, maybe if it comes on one day, maybe I'll check it out. But until then, Kiss Meets the Phantom is the only thing I've ever seen him do.
Aren't you lucky? Ken?
I have to agree with Lonnie with Runaway. That was the first time we really seen him act, I guess, not counting Kiss Meets the Phantom of the Park, or him acting on stage. But a close second was Never Too Young to Die, where he's playing that,
Ragnar von
or
Velvet.
whatever. Yeah. It was such a crazy role. It was comical, really, to see him stretch out and do what he was doing in that movie. But I still, Runaway is the one to go to for me.
Yeah, mine is, of course, The Terrorist. Wanted Dead or Alive. Raham al-Malik or whatever. No, Malik Al-Rahim. So, yeah, just because of the ending sequence. I never liked Runaway. I
didn't say I liked the movie.
Well, no, we're not.
Tom Selleck.
I'm not giving it tomato rankings, or anything. It's just I really liked that sequence. I liked him playing the really bad guy, but I mean, I also liked him in Miami Vice. So, he's done a couple of things that are, well, slightly less challenging than the others, but
Sure.
And I'm surprised none of you picked the Grota screen test, because that really would have been putting it out there. But there you go. Let's move on from this rapidly as we're keeping this positive. All right. What's the current set song that he still slays the most for you? Current or the most recent tour that you've seen in concert? And the Gene song that it's your one song that you've got to hear in concert, and you also know that you're likely to hear. Mark.
Well, I think that he's always and consistently slayed Deuce. I think that's one of his strongest songs live that he's ever done. And, like most people say, a Kiss concert isn't complete without Deuce nowadays. So I definitely say that that's a one that he slays. And the song that I would say that I always kind of look forward to is God of Thunder, even though he doesn't always do it. But I'm always happy when he does do it. It's kind of, even though he didn't write it, it's just such a Gene song. He so embodies it so well. I think that's a fantastic song.
Nice. Ken, how about you?
I'm going to totally agree with Mark on this one.
Right.
Yes. Deuce, for sure. He slays it. I mean, they've been playing it forever. He sings it still like it's like he hasn't sung it that many times. It's amazing. Keeps it fresh as it can be. And then God of Thunder, I mean, it's kind of even though he didn't write it, I mean, it's his signature song, and the way he performs it is fantastic. And I wouldn't want to go without having that one in the show.
Nice. Lonnie.
Yeah, I'm going to be boring and echo what these guys are saying, because I think Deuce is so great live, and it works so well early in the set list. I didn't really care. I didn't really care for it when they were doing it in the middle of the set list. It really seemed like it was just crammed in there when they were doing it in the middle. It always seems to be the first song or maybe the second song, like they're doing it now. But it's so great and so energetic when they do it live. It's just fantastic. And God of Thunder should always be in the set. He shouldn't drool blood before I Love It Loud. He should always drool blood before God of Thunder. I mean, it's just common sense. And I love the way they do it now with the pods and that, and like Gene's like all over the stage. So those two songs, I mean, you can't have a Kiss concert without those two songs.
Nice. And I'll just go for obviously the obvious song, which is my got to have in a set song, Deuce. I will say, however, that I really thought that he slayed Calling Dr. Love the last time I saw them, and it was really nice to hear that on kind of full power Simmons demon vocals, because he's been in great form this tour, and the band's performance has been excellent. But Deuce is that one song. Let's move on to some moments. When has Gene surprised you the most? And there's no definition to this. It can be anything that he's done, that's kind of just made you either take a step back, or you say, wow, he did that really well. Mark.
Well, I have to admit, the one moment that really surprised me, because for years and years and years and years, he was so adamant that this would never happen, was the moment he got married to Shannon Tweed. That, to me, was the big moment that shocked me. Like, because I was a big watcher, actually, of Family Jewels at that time. So when that episode was being hyped that it was coming up that he's getting married, I was like, wow, really? Like, the man who swore never, ever to get married is going to get married. And when they showed that scene of him getting down on his one knee and proposing and all that, I was like, wow, like, I can't believe it. Like, he's actually doing it. So that, to me, actually really surprised me. And I have some respect for him that he did that, because it just shows that, even somebody like Gene like that can, turn around and, rethink things and maybe go a different route.
Yep, that's a great one, and I actually had access to A&E servers back when that was all happening. It was really fun to watch them putting together the promos, selecting the clips that they were trying to use to tease the audience. So that was a very neat one. Lonnie, how about you? When has Gene shocked you?
Gene really surprised me recently when he attached his name to the medical marijuana in Canada. Gene has, been an advocate for years about, I've never done drugs, I've never drank alcohol, I've never done anything like this. And to attach his name to that, I think really shocked a lot of people, including me. And then Gene kind of explained himself about it, that he's read some of the benefits that are attached to it. And it just goes back to kind of like what Mark said too, you may be set in your ways, but we're always, growing, and we're always changing, and we're always learning. And no matter how set you may be in your ways, new information presents itself, and it can take something that you've been so set one way, and new information and can change your mind. That's called life. Yeah. So that's what really surprised me more than anything else. I mean, I'm not a marijuana user or anything like that, but to have Gene, who has been so adamant one way, become educated about the medical benefits of marijuana, to come out not only to say is it okay, but then to attach his name to it, really shocked the hell out of me more than anything else.
Yeah.
Yep, and ditto me. That was going to be my pick, because I was absolutely aghast when he did that, mainly because I believe that there aren't enough clinical studies that have been done for him to even be pegging his name to it. I think he's no longer a part of that.
Oh, really?
I think recently that he has departed it. However, there have been too many cases of people with MS finding medicinal benefits for me to immediately shirk it off, simply because I don't think there's the standard of medical testing. I think what we've opened up a door to, and hopefully Gene's name being associated with it, which will outlast his actual ability, is that there will hopefully be far more studies done now under proper circumstances that do hopefully prove beyond reasonable doubt that there are benefits to all these things that people have been saying for many years. So that surprised me tremendously, and I hope for those people who do gain benefit from it that it does continue to go in the path of continuing to provide them health benefits from something that's been looked down upon as just purely recreational to this time. Ken, how about you?
Yeah, kind of, two things. One is Gene getting married, which was, after all the years he was totally against what he said, the institution, I guess, that he finally did it. I mean, again, that's another instance of him, learning and growing after a while, and finally realizing, what it can do to, your kids, your lifestyle, what it can do to your kids, and so on. And with him about to lose Shannon too, I mean, he had to, grow up, right? And I think he even said that. So the other thing I would say was surprise is his 78th solo album. When I got that and brought that home, I wasn't expecting a lot of that Beatlesque stuff, or
right. You're expecting God of Thunder and Almost Human over and over and over.
Yeah, I mean, expecting what I've heard, Kiss, the prior records, and so it's like, oh wow, and that wasn't a bad surprise to me. I thought it was a cool surprise because I enjoyed it. I really, really loved that album. I've always loved that album. It's just so, the variety of it is so cool. And the music it works. It's different than the normal Kiss stuff, but it still worked for me. So that's the other surprise.
Nice, good picks, all around. All right, so Lonnie, what's your favorite extra Kiss project that Gene's been involved with? It can be bands that he's fostered or produced, or other, books that he's done, or whatever. Just something outside of Kiss with only his name attached to it.
I liked the Gene Simmons money bag clothing line that he came out with back in the early 2000s. It was kind of goofy, But I have one of those button-down shirts with the money bags all over. My wife hates it. She can absolutely not stand it. So sometimes, I put it on just to show myself off in it a little bit. See anything you like, honey? You're like, don't you come near me. So, I liked that though. I thought that the money bag logo, Gene Simmons, is just like, it's like perfect. I mean, could you outside of the makeup itself, can you think up a better logo for Gene Simmons than a money bag? So I had the button-down shirt. I got a polo that has a little money bag on it, and I think I got a big towel that has a money bag on it too. It's like, well, we just blow money for the hell of blowing money on Kiss shit back in those days. So I have like the whole line of all that stuff, and I just thought that was really cool. And it's like wearing a Kiss shirt or having a Kiss product without having a Kiss product at the same time. So I really thought that was one of the cooler ideas that he came up with, and I really hitched my wagon to it back in the day when he was doing that.
Nice. So this Sunday night, you can find Lonnie wearing his money bag shirt.
I might throw it on.
Come on, let's go to you.
So I get home around midnight and got a few beers in me. Hey, honey, I'm back.
You'll be on the porch.
For me, it would be the vault. The vault. I think it was just something that was surprising that he was going to do. Put out. I mean, it's semi-surprising. It's not. I mean, again, it's another idea he threw out there. But I'm glad he did, and I really enjoy the music on the vault, and the experience, the vault experience that we had in LA was just very, very fun and cool, and it could have been the best vault experience in my opinion. We just got lucky that those extras showed up at ours. But the vault music, the book that comes with it, the goodies, the special item that you get. So it's just a cool thing, and I'm glad he did it. It's just showed that he's willing to put something out there and say, hey, these are demos, and if you want to check them out. It's some of his music that just didn't make Kiss albums. For some they're not Kiss like, and some are Kiss like that should have been on Kiss albums. But I really enjoy the music, most of the music on those 11 CDs.
Nice, good pick. Mark, how about you?
I kind of had two things that I kind of enjoyed. The one thing that I really enjoyed was the fact that he did the whole Family Jewels series. I think that him letting us into his inner world was something that I didn't expect ever to see. He seemed like a very private person, and for us to be allowed into his home, I mean, obviously some of it is scripted, or most of it is scripted, but still to have him, but to have access into his world is something that you didn't get to expect to see. I mean, I thought it was cool that we got to see like his office with all that Kiss memorabilia and stuff like that. That was always something that was awesome to see, or to even see his home. Like, I mean, he's been very proud about it in his book, saying how he bought the land and then he bought the house and then he totally renovated it and expanded it. So he was always proud of his home. So it was nice to be able to see that, up close and personal. And the other thing that I kind of didn't mind, I mean, I only had one or two issues of this, was the Tongue magazine. And I kind of was always trying, it was hard to find here in Canada when it was out, but it was interesting. I mean, sure, it has always Gene's slant on things in the magazine, because obviously it's his magazine, but I thought it was interesting that he even branched himself out into that sort of field as well. Like I said before, he wasn't afraid to try many different things, and a magazine was one of the things as well.
Great picks. And you touched on one that I was thinking about, Family Jewels, and I think Lonnie's mentioned it in the past, how it kept Kiss visible during a time when they really needed it the most. So I thought about that. I thought about the vault as well. But I think when it comes down to me being purely selfish, Gene Simmons Band, because that totally scratched several itches for me as a fan. It brought a lot of the rarities out onto the stage. It allowed Gene to kind of work on carrying an audience for the whole show, something else that's been Paul's role for, the majority of Kiss's career. 73, it would have been Peter, a little bit more. But it made Gene the front man and made him perform some stuff that he would never otherwise have performed, which we're all able to listen to and benefit from. So I guess in thanking Gene for his... my favorite extra Kiss project of his, I gotta thank Phil, Jeremy, and Brian for making him perform some of those songs, because I know it wasn't easy in always, but I also know that Gene would never have done anything that he didn't want to do. So when he got up there and did Charisma or Naked City, or I don't think he'd make Naked City.
And there's Naked City yet.
Yeah, no. She's a European. Naked City's one that we still have to hope for in the future. So, there was so much good stuff done. I'm glad I flew to Edmonton to actually see that band while it was going. It was worth every minute. So even above the vault, when I say it's about the music, it always is about the music for me, but actually getting to see it when otherwise it might not have been the case, because it wasn't that easy to experience the Gene Simmons band. All right, so favorite merchandise, favorite Gene Simmons merchandise that you've purchased. Mine is the Vault and the Vault Experience, so Ken mentioned that on his response. Again, we got lucky. It was the first one. It was an outlier. It had so much good stuff, as the first one should, that, here I am singing the praises of it all these years later. Mark, what would be your favorite piece of Gene merchandise that you've had in your collection, or that you would like to have in your collection?
My favorite thing, actually, to be honest, is his second book that he did. I really enjoyed that book because he has a lot of stuff in there that he talks about, like some of the early mock-ups of some of the products that he was doing and stuff like that. I really liked that book. He went into a lot of detail about stuff, and he also talked about the conventions and how Tommy Thayer helped organize it, and his whole thinking of how they organized all these things. I thought that was really interesting, how he would go really deeply into it, because it was a lot more business oriented. That book, I really enjoyed that book, and I've read it quite a few times. I really like going back to that book and just seeing what things can just refresh in my mind from his past. Nice.
Agreed, totally. Ken, how about you?
Yeah, I'll have to agree with you, Julian, about the Vault. And one of the reasons is, again, the music, the whole thing with it. And then what made it, put it over the top for me was, the gift they give. So, this is what really makes the difference for me.
I don't like it.
Let's see. First in line at the first vault, got a watch. Yeah. Third in line at the first vault, got a Gene Simmons Demon Shell. Second in line, got an empty vault.
Get nothing. You'll get nothing and like it.
Which Keith then ran to get stuff for it. So you got a shell. Wow.
Yeah, so that is...
You'll get nothing and like it.
So that whole thing, so that's it's a costume piece, so it's my favorite piece of whatever you're going to call it, memorabilia.
Yeah. Nice. I'm happy for you.
It is the true epitome of, well, you never know what's going to be in these vaults. Look, Ken got a boot, Julian got nothing.
Lonnie.
Shoot.
It's all random. My favorite piece of G merchandise is my axe bass. When people come over and they come into my Kiss room, and that axe bass is, and there, I two other Paul Stanley guitars, but that axe bass is like such an eye catcher. People are like, oh my gosh, look at that. People who might not even know Kiss or that Gene plays an axe bass, sees that axe bass, and it's so stunning. People see that and they're like, wow, look at that. That is badass.
I didn't even know you had one.
Oh gosh, yeah. It is a showstopper.
Have you plugged it in ever?
Oh gosh, yeah. You should hear me, Mark.
No, I'm just curious if you have actually heard it. Because I heard they sound pretty good, actually.
I'm sure it sounds great
your wife
with someone else. Yeah, she loves it when I plug it. Check this out, honey. I'm sure it sounds really great.
Wearing his shirt.
I'm wearing my Gene Simmons shirt. I'm gonna change my profile picture on the FAQ to me and my Gene Simmons money bag shirt playing my X bass.
Damn right. We expect to see that very soon.
It's coming to the FAQ soon. No, I mean it just shows you don't want to hear me play it, but if I had time to practice it, I'm sure it'd be better. But I just don't have time. But no, it's such a showstopper, and it's so iconic. That X bass is just so iconic, and it's so I mean it's so Gene, it's so recognizable for Gene. So that's by far my favorite.
That's fucking awesome. You learn something. You do a show with someone for 5 years, and
I learn something new every day.
You find out that they have a Gene Simmons bass. Is it signed?
No.
Well, you got to get it signed, man.
I tried. I did a meet and greet in Detroit back in 2010. So I brought it with me. And prior to that meet and greet, I'd seen like in 2004. I'd seen people backstage and they're signing instruments. So I'm going to bring my X bass, going to get it signed. Here I come walking up. They're like, he's not going to sign. Nope, don't sign instruments. I'm like, what? I've seen people get instruments signed before backstage. Nope, new fine print. They won't sign instruments. So I had to lug the X bass around with me the whole concert, and I didn't even get it signed.
I'd be like, I'd be all SpongeBob, but it's a Gene Simmons bass. What the fuck?
It's a Gene Simmons bass. I'm not going to sell it. It's probably going to be buried with me. I'm never going to sell it.
Wow.
And I get it. People were spending $1,000 on their meet and greet and getting a guitar signed and then turn around and making a profit off it. And the last thing Gene wants to see is someone making a profit off of his name.
Yeah.
I get it.
All right. So, Mark, I didn't cover you yet on this?
Oh, no, I did the book.
Okay.
The book.
All right. Yeah. Well, we have one question left, unless any of you have any that you want to throw out there for the rest of the group. Crickets? Okay. Gene Simmons' finest moments, encompassing all of his, now 8 decades. What is, to date, Gene Simmons' finest moment for you? And Mark, I'll just go straight back to you.
Finest moment. I don't know. I was thinking long and hard about this. Like, what do I think Gene could hang his hat on? I mean, obviously he can hang his hat on his musical career and all the things that he's done. But I think that one of his finest moments is when he started becoming involved with the military and for the soldiers who are wounded soldiers. I think that when he started getting involved with that, I think that really showed a different side of Gene Simmons, the side that really didn't just care about money for himself, that he thought he cared about other people and helping them out and trying to make their lives that much better. And he's a big supporter of the military, as we know, because he loves this country and he knows it needs to be defended, right? So the soldiers to him are always being people that he holds in high esteem. So I think that if anything, I think that he deserves to have, a shining light on him for it's his support of the wounded soldiers.
That's awesome. I mean, as someone who came from Israel, he knows about the importance of having a military that does protect you, and he's projected that onto the respect that he shows the American vets and active service personnel. That's a fantastic pick. Lonnie, Gene Simmons' finest moment.
Hearing what Mark just said, I don't think I can sit here and say that Gene Simmons' finest moment is his solo album or the way he played bass on Jungle on Carnival of Souls, if that even is Gene. That's another argument. But or his bass playing in general or anything, or the way he made the guitar sound on Creatures of the Night. I think Mark brings up an excellent point that Gene's finest moment is really the way he has given back to the military. And at every turn, every interview, if Gene has the opportunity to say something positive about America's military, he takes it and runs with it. And as a person who comes from a strong military background, that takes the cake for me. That his devotion and his appreciation of America's military and his willingness to stick his neck out for it and pump his fist in the air for it every single opportunity he gets is so commendable that it doesn't get appreciated enough.
Yeah, I mean, what the hell can one add to any of that? I mean,
right. I mean,
he's the ultimate pro-American. He's a cheerleader for everything that is great about this country through hard times, through great times. He brings it back to where it is real. He's a poster boy for immigrants, that you can come to this country and become an American icon because he is the face of KISS. No matter how much we love Paul Stanley as the heart of KISS, and that it kind of hurts me to say that, Gene will always be the face of the band, that if you show a picture, they'll know who it is. This is Gene Simmons. They'll probably even know his name, which is absolutely American. And he came from a small independent country that was fighting for its life and has become a popular icon, pop culture icon in, what is invariably the greatest country in the world. Sorry, Canada. You're just the nicest. You're just the nicest people. All right, the politest. But it's impossible for me to go further than that either, because again, his finest moment is what he embodies: hopes, dreams, possibilities. Ken.
Yeah, I mean, I have to agree with all of you on that. It's when he brings up and talks about America and the American dream. He talks about the American dream, talks about being the luckiest guy on earth, having come here and had all the opportunities. And he does talk about the military, current military, and the militaries that came before, who fought in prior wars to give us our freedom that we have. So and you can see he gets choked up when he starts talking about that stuff. He really believes in America and the Constitution, the whole bit. So yeah, I mean that's his finest moment when I see him just letting them go, and he's not talking about KISS or promoting anything else. He's promoting America and how he feels about America and the opportunities that he got from coming here as an immigrant. So yeah, I mean there's really nothing more to say other than that.
Yep, he's never forgotten the gift that you receive when you come to this country that I can echo. He's the band's Iron Man. He's the last man standing. He's the only member of KISS to have performed every single concert the band has ever performed. Paul Stanley missed one to date. So where Paul's kind of the bionic man, he's been surgically repaired and enhanced from all these incidents of him running into obstacles on stage, and look at him on tour wearing knee braces.
Yeah.
Which you can see. Gene is still standing proud, loud and proud. So final words is just a personal birthday message for Gene. Gene, I want to thank you for embodying everything that is positive about the United States of America, about realizing your dreams and the importance of having a dream, the importance of getting up when you've been knocked down, never surrendering, never giving up, and standing for what you believe in. That's what I get. Thank you, Gene. Happy birthday. Mark.
Yeah, happy birthday, Gene. Thanks for the music. Thanks for the important lessons learned through your books and through your various interviews and stuff like that. I know it's made me a better musician and a better person. So happy 70th and hopefully many more years ahead.
Lonnie.
Absolutely. Happy birthday, Gene. Thanks for being such a great influence on my life and for all the music and the good times, and can't wait to see you Sunday night for one more show.
Hallelujah. Ken.
Yep. Happy 70th birthday, Gene. Thank you for all the music, all the great concerts that you've given us over the years. Thank you for just working, and giving the fans what they want. I look forward to meeting you again coming up at the Oakland concert, and I look forward for more music, whether it's KISS or hopefully your own music in the years to come, and whatever else you decide to do. The best of luck to you.
Well, that's our It's All About Gene episode. Two just last pieces of kind of news. is do check out the first episode of Podkistory. That's an audio biography of the band. If you think of the Kiss album Focus, well, I completely rewrote it after I found a couple of dozen typos in the first 2 paragraphs. But it's read by Ken Mills, and it starts, the first episode is all about Peter Criss and his pre-Kiss Kistory. And that was the last episode that I put up on the FAQ channel, so do check it out there, or go over to Podkist, where you can read it on, or listen to it on their feed. Hopefully we'll do some more episodes if there's enough demand for it, because otherwise it's a hell of a lot of work if people aren't going to check it out or listen to the whole thing. And do give us your feedback on it, as we do want to know what you want to hear if we do the rest of the episodes. Gene is written, hopefully we'll record that soon, but the other ones are kind of in sketch mode, pending feedback. Also, it'd be remiss not to mention Kiss My Collectibles and their very special edition of Space Invader, which is going to be coming out. It's absolutely staggering what these guys have put together. 5th anniversary edition of the album, exclusive to Kiss My Wax. And it looks like it's multicolored vinyl. It's got the original artwork, not obscured by the logos and whatnot. It comes in a slip sleeve. It's going to be signed, come with a poster, lyric photo book. Go over to Kiss My Collectibles on YouTube or on Facebook and check it out. Because again, this is the sort of collectible stuff that fans have wanted, have been after. And of course, celebrating anything that anyone's putting out recently from the band music-wise can only mean that more projects get done. So, congratulations to those guys. Also, check out the last episode of Kiss My Wax, which, of course, recapped their visit to Los Angeles to get Nicholas's book signed. Fantastic episode. Very cool stuff. But for now, that's it from the KissFAQ Podcast. So from Lonnie, from Mark, from Ken, and myself, thank you for listening or watching, and we will see you next time. I hate you, Ken. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final, there are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.